The sun was hanging low in the sky, painting the Arizona landscape with that deep orange glow that only the desert can give. I was sitting on my old John Deere tractor, the engine rumbling beneath me, as I backed up to move a fresh load of timber through the gate I had just painted. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't think much of it when I picked that color. Fire engine red. It was bold, sure. It popped against the dry earth and the wooden fence that surrounded my ranch. I liked it. It was my gate, my property, my choice. But then, just as I was adjusting my grip on the wheel, I saw her. Marlene Crowley, the president of the HOA, an overbearing, self-righteous woman with a clipboard in one hand and a ruler in the other charging toward me, her heels sinking into the dirt with each step. She was screeching something, her face flushed red with fury. I didn't catch all of it, but I sure as hell heard her yell, "You're violating community standards." I stopped the tractor, killed the engine, and looked at her, completely dumbfounded. I didn't even know this woman, and here she was, trying to tell me how to paint my gate. She flailed the paper in her hand like it was some sort of official decree. "You better repaint that gate," she said, her voice shaky, "or I'll take legal action." I just stood there for a moment, trying to process what was happening. I mean, I wasn't even part of her HOA. My property was exempt. I'd made damn sure of it before I bought the place. But Marlene? She wasn't hearing any of it. She stormed up to me, face redder than the gate, and before I could even respond, she planted herself directly in front of my moving tractor. I slammed on the brakes. The tractor jerked, and the front wheel barely brushed the edge of the gravel where her shoes were. She froze, eyes wide, and I swear I saw her heart stop in that instant. I slowly opened the cabin door and stepped down, trying to keep my cool, but inside I was already boiling. "Marlene, what the hell are you doing?" I asked, my voice calm, but my mind racing. She didn't answer. She was shaking now, clutching that damn paper so tightly her knuckles were white. And then she screamed, "You're trying to kill me." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "What?" I asked, genuinely confused. She started yelling again, her face twisted in anger. "Repaint that gate, or I'll sue you for attempted murder." Before I could respond, my dog, Duke, came running out of the house, barking like a lunatic. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. This whole thing wasn't supposed to happen at all. But it did. And that's when I realized that this wasn't just about a red gate. It was something much bigger, something personal, something dark. Let me take you back to how this all started, to 6 weeks before the tractor incident, before I even met Marlene. My name's Jake Harris. I'm 48 years old. I live on a 20-acre ranch on the outskirts of Prescott, Arizona. I bought the place 2 years ago, inherited a bit of money from my late uncle, and moved out here to get away from the noise of the city. Quiet, peaceful, just what I needed. I had no intention of getting involved with an HOA. I double-checked everything. My property was exempt, clear of any HOA jurisdiction. I had the paperwork, the title records, everything in black and white. But then, out of nowhere, Marlene showed up. She knocked on my gate one morning, clipboard in hand, ruler in the other, and without even introducing herself, she started telling me my fence was too high. I didn't even know who she was at first. I just blinked and said, "Good morning. Who are you?" She narrowed her eyes at me, like I was the problem. "I'm Marlene Crowley, the president of the Clear VYEWHOA, she said, her tone dripping with entitlement. "And you've already received 3 violation notices." I looked at her, confused. "Ma'am, I haven't received anything, and I'm not part of your HOA." She didn't care. She just huffed and walked off, leaving me standing there, scratching my head. And that's when the letters started showing up. Cheap, printed notices. No return address. At first, I ignored them. But then came the knocks on the door around 6:30 a.m. like clockwork. HOA agents, clipboard-toting teenagers, and even a kid with a drone tried to survey my property. It was getting out of hand. Now, I wasn't alone in this. There were a few people who had my back. First, there was my niece Ellie. She's my late sister's daughter, full of energy, always filming something. Usually, it was Duke chasing squirrels, or maybe me doing some work around the ranch. She wasn't afraid to speak up, either. She'd been levying with me for a while, trying to figure out life after college, and her social media posts were starting to get a lot of attention. Then there was our YMY old firefighter buddy. He lives on a smaller plot next door, but he's been HOA-ing his own run-ins with the HOA. He's always got some ad VYC for me, most of it not so subtle warnings. And finally, there was Miss Dolores, an 82-year-old neighbor who had been levying in the area since the 50s. Quiet, kind, and sharp as a tack. She'd warned me from the start. Marlene doesn't like being told no, she said, feeding her chickens one afternoon. I laughed it off, but things got worse real fast. It was a week later when I got the first real violation notice, color violation, repaint required. They gave me a list of approved colors. Boring, neutral shades gray mist, saddle beige, desert taupe. I didn't even hesitate. I went to the hardware store, grabbed the brightest red I could find, and painted that gate myself. It was a statement. My statement. Ellie filmed it for her followers. She added dramatic music, slow-mo shots. The video went viral. And that, my friends, was the spark that lit Marlene's fuse. 3 days later, Marlene marched up to my place with 2 board members, Gerald and Tanya, trailing behind her. Gerald, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, and Tanya, holding up her phone like she was documenting a crime scene. "This is vandalism," Marlene shouted, pointing at my gate. I took a sip of lemonade, leaning against the porch. "No, ma'am, this is my land," I said calmly. "You have no right to tell me what to do with my property." But Marlene wasn't done. "You'll be hearing from our lawyers," she snapped. I didn't even respond. I went inside, grabbed my deed, and made 5 copies. The next day, I dropped one off at her house. But that didn't stop her. The intimidation ramped up. My mailbox disappeared. My trash bin got dumped all over the driveway. Someone even tried to let Duke out of the yard one night. But thankfully, I had cameras. Ellie was scared. "They'll stop, right?" she asked. But deep down, I wasn't so sure. I knew they were pushing it, and it was only a matter of time before things got uglier. Then came the letter final notice. "We will be inspecting your property on Friday at 4 p.m. Any non-compliance will result in fines and legal action." That's when Ree came over. "They're poking the bear," he said, chewing on a toothpick. I didn't care. They didn't have a leg to stand on. I posted the deed online to make sure everyone knew where I stood. And then Friday came. I was hauling wood to the barn when I saw the HOA crew approaching, looking like they were ready to start a war. But Marlene didn't wait. She charged straight toward my gate, screaming something about defiance. I barely saw her until it was too late. I slammed on the brakes. The tractor screeched to a halt just inches from her. She froze. Her face, if it was possible, got even redder. I stepped out of the tractor, hands up, trying to defuse the situation. "Marlene, what are you doing?" I asked, genuinely confused. She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled out her phone and called 911. "He tried to run me over with that machine," she screamed. And that's when everything changed. The sheriff arrived not long after, his cruiser rolling to a stop. "Jake, what happened here?" he asked, looking between me and Marlene. "I was just hauling timber," I said. She stepped in front of the tractor. Ellie stepped forward, holding her phone up. "I got it on video," she said. The sheriff looked at the footage. After watching it twice, he turned to Marlene and said, "Ma'am, it looks like you walked right into the path of a MOVing vehicle." Marlene went pale. "He's dangerous," she shouted. But the sheriff wasn't HOVing it. "No, ma'am, you're trespassing. And you're provoking him." He pulled out a paper. "Jake owns this land. Your HOA has no say here." And that was it. She lost. But even then, I knew that wasn't the end of it. Marlene wasn't the type to just walk away. A few days later, I found out just how far she was willing to go. But I won't spoil it for you. Stay tuned.